Today, we are going to talk about how to modify, add, and remove elements from a list. Most lists that you create will be dynamic. It means that you build a list and then you can add, remove elements as your program runs its course. For example, if I have a variable called motor cycles equals Honda, Ducati, and Yamaha. Say if you want to add Suzuki at the beginning of the motorcycles, it means instead of Honda, we want to add Ducati. How we can do that? Well, first we tap to motorcycles and then we say that we want to change the first item. So we pass 0. It means that we are targeting the first item in the list and we want to change it with Suzuki. Now if you print our motorcycles, you can see that instead of Honda, now we have Suzuki. Another thing that we can do with lists are adding elements to a list. How we can add elements to a list. You might want to add a new element to a list for many reasons. For example, you want to make a new aliens appear in a game. For example, we want to add new data to visualize. So how we can do that? Well, the simplest way to add a new element to a list is to append item to the list. When you append an item to a list, the new element is added to the end of the list. This is very important. For example, say we want to add the Suzuki at the end of motorcycles. How we can do that? Well, the first thing is you write the name of list, then you put a period, and then the first method is append. That's what we want. Press tab and open the parenthesis. What do you want to append or what do you want to add at the end of list? Well, we want to add Suzuki at the end of list. Now, when you run this program, you will see that we have 4 items in the list. And the last one is Suzuki. The append method makes it easy to build lists dynamically. For example, you can start with an empty list and then you can add items to the list using a series of append methods. For example, let's clear all things in our motorcycles list. We want to add dynamically motorcycles to list using a bunch of append methods. The first item that we are going to append is Suzuki, and then we are going to append the Ducati, the second item, and the third item should be like Yamaha. And now if we print, you can see that this is another way that we can add items to the list. The next thing that I am going to tell you about lists are how to insert elements to a list. You can add a new element at any position. We want to add elements to any position that we want by using the insert method. For example, let's go back to the original motorcycles. Let's say we want to insert Ducati at the beginning of the motorcycles. How we can do that? Let's tap to motorcycles, then insert. And here the insert method takes 2 parameters. The first is the index. So we want to insert Ducati to the first index. So the first index is 0. So what do you want to insert? We want to insert Ducati. Now, if you run our program, you can see that the Ducati is inserted at the beginning of the motorcycles. The beginning of the motorcycle is position 0, which is the beginning. Now we learn how to append and how to insert elements or items. It's time to learn how to remove elements from a list. Often you will find to remove an item or set of items from a list. Say, if you want and if you know the position of item you want to remove from a list, you can use the del or del statement. For example, now we have Ducati at the beginning of our list. We want to remove the second Ducati. So, what is the position of the second Ducati? Well, it's at position 0, 1, 2. So we want to delete using del statement, delete motorcycles index 2. Now if you run our program, you can see that our second Honda being deleted. Now we have Ducati, Honda, and Yamaha. The next thing that I'm going to talk with you is how to remove an item using pop method. The pop method removes the last item in a list, but it lets you work with that item after removing it. Say, I want to make a variable called popped motorcycles. Popped motorcycles equals motorcycles dot pop. Now, if I run this program, you will see that the Yamaha will be removed, but I can access the removed item using this variable. If I print the popped motorcycles, you will see the item that was removed, and you can work with removed item. You can use pop to remove an item from any position in the list by including the index of item you want to remove in parentheses. Say we want to remove Ducati. So Ducati is at position what is at position 0 and also at position 2. We want to remove the Ducati that's at position 1. So let's pop the first item. Now if you run this, nothing happens. Let's print the motorcycles. And you run this program, you will see that the first item, which was Ducati, removed. Now we have Honda, Ducati, and Yamaha. Sometimes you want to know the position of the value you want to remove from a list. And this is the flexibility that Python brings. If you do not know the position of an element, you can remove based on its value. So if you only know the value of an item you want to remove, you can use the remove method. For example, if I clear all of this, let's say I want to remove Ducati from my motorcycles list. Let's tap to motorcycles list, and then we want to remove. What do you want to remove? Let's say I want to remove Ducati. Now if I print motorcycles, you will see that Ducati was removed, and now we have only 2 items in our list, Honda and Yamaha. The remove method deletes only the first occurrence. So let's say if I have another Ducati in here, it will not remove this Ducati. Now if you print this, you will see that Ducati is here. but it will remove only the first occurrence of the value you specified. And I think it's enough for today. And in the next episode, I'm going to talk more about how to organize your lists.